The Indiana Fever are making some major moves this offseason. Coach is out, the free agency rumors are hot, and one Fever player just joined Unrivaled.
After the Unrivaled League's big announcement, Caitlin Clark fans are going crazy and saying the same thing. CC is going to join the league and burn it down. That's what they hope, anyway. Does it have any truth, though? Since there is new information about the Indiana Fever's offseason activities virtually every day, it is ongoing. Following the conclusion of the WNBA's wildly successful 2024 season, fans are anticipating the inaugural season of the Unrivaled League, the first season of this unique 3-on-3 league, which was started by WNBA players Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, starts in January. The Las Vegas Aces guard Kate Martin, Unrivaled's most recent roster addition, was the subject of a major news on Monday. Before being selected by the Aces in the second round of the 2024 WNBA draft, Martin played for the Iowa Hawkeyes for 5 years, where she had the chance to play alongside Caitlin Clark, a legend of the Indiana Fever. During their time together in Iowa, Martin and Clark developed a deep bond that has lasted to this day. For this reason, a lot of Clark fans believe Unrivaled signed Martin in an attempt to lure the league's top Rookie of the Year. In order to lure Clark to join the league, the Unrivaled League is reportedly considering making a generous offer akin to that of Lionel Messi. This alludes to Messi's deal with Major League Soccer, or MLS, which includes income sharing, a sizable salary, and a portion of ownership. Although Clark's salary will undoubtedly fall well short of Messi's $150 million MLS contract, it appears that Unrivaled is making every effort to lure the 22-year-old. Kate Martin's addition, according to the supporters, is another step in the direction of this ambitious that's not all, though, because they recently added a Fever player to the roster. Additionally, fans of the Indiana Fever now have a player representing them in the brand new Unrivaled League, which may mean Caitlin Clark may follow. Speaking of the Indiana Fever, Lexi Hall was just revealed as the 29th player to sign with the Unrivaled League, making him the first player to participate in the league. The 30-member roster of the new Unrivaled 3-8-3 Women's Basketball League is almost complete, but there has been more conjecture surrounding one player who has not yet been announced than the 29 who have. This one player is, of course, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. Despite Unrivaled's well-known attempts to entice Clark to join the league, which will make its debut in Miami on January 17th, the 22-year-old does not seem to be impressed by the financial incentives being given. Nevertheless, Unrivaled has other options for hiring, which they seem to be using right now. The fact that they are now down to one person is the second intriguing aspect of these Unrivaled statements, in my opinion. But in the last three announcements, Kate Martin and Lexi Hall have both been mentioned. Caitlin Clark has a close friendship with each of those people. Was Unrivaled aware that they were saving them for last and that they would play all along? Did they try to take advantage of Caitlin with these announcements? Do they intend to use them as a prelude to the announcement that Caitlin Clark will be the 30th player? As of right now, we don't know if she will play or not, but we do know that Unrivaled was making a final push with this enormous offer that they were purportedly offering to her. Clark's Iowa teammate and current best friend, Kate Martin of the Las Vegas Aces, will participate in the competition, Unrivaled said Monday. Fever wing Lexi Hall, with whom Clark has forged a close relationship this season, was officially announced on Wednesday to play in the league as well. Social media users are wondering if these two recent announcements and the fact that only one player has been named yet will influence Clark. A user commented on X that Lexi Hall is a fantastic strategy to try to get Caitlin Clark to be number 30 in Unrivaled based on some of the offseason videos. The final player follows Money Martin, Aaliyah Edwards, and Lexi Hall. A fan added, after all, it must be CC, right? Imagine if Caitlin was negotiating that she would play, but they also had to offer Lexi, so they added a third party. It should not take long for fans to discover whether the 30th player is the beloved Fever great. Naturally, the team's most significant news is the dismissal of Coach Christy Sides. The tweet that the Indiana Fever released after announcing that they were firing Coach Christy Sides is now the intriguing aspect of the story. We have parted ways with head coach Christy Sides, they declared simply. Additionally, they featured a picture of her playing the game with intense focus in the tweet. Now, unless a coach has done something obviously wrong to make it a bigger story, this isn't the usual method that teams announce that they have parted ways, that they have dismissed, or that they have anything to do with a coach. If you've been following basketball during the internet era, you know this. However, based on our knowledge of Coach Christy Sides, it didn't appear like there was any animosity between her and the athletes. The club didn't appear to have any problems in the locker room. She didn't appear to have broken any laws. Many people were somewhat surprised by this tweet, stating that it was a really callous way to announce that your coach had been dismissed. Reports that delve deeper into the behind the scenes of the Fever under previous coach Sides have surfaced alongside the unparalleled news. Furthermore, despite the widespread belief that Sides and Clark couldn't get along, there doesn't seem to be any proof that Christy Sides had a tense relationship with Caitlin Clark or any of her other Indiana Fever colleagues. The manner in which Coach was fired by the Indiana Fever, many people were curious about what was actually happening in the Indiana Fever locker room behind the scenes after Christy Sides' appearance, as in what was actually happening. Christy Sides also wrote a somewhat mysterious tweet immediately after the announcement was announced, saying, "Leave it better than you found it. Christy Sides doesn't use social media too often." This was an uncommon post from her, but perhaps the news caught her off guard. Perhaps she believed she would be coming back. Perhaps she felt she performed admirably. All reports state that the team wanted someone in charge who could lead the Fever to a championship soon, which is why the organization decided to fire her. This is not to say that Sides and her former teammates did not have tense moments while she was the team's head coach. This is, after all, how coach-player relationships ought to work. It's not always the case that a coach will agree with what their players say or do, and vice versa. The Fever player Lexi Hull recently discussed a practice incident in which Sides and Clark caused the rest of the team to perish in an appearance on the Ringer WNBA show. The Fever rookie made it known that Clark didn't like Sides' loud music. During one rehearsal, Christy turned on loud music, which caused Caitlin to scream. Hull explained that this was because they knew the rival arena would be noisy. "Could someone please turn off the music? I have a migraine from that." And everybody is thinking, "Oh, what?" In response, Christy asked, "What did you say?" Caitlin said it again. And we were all dying because if someone on our team or someone else had said that and then been asked, "What did you say?" and you do it again, nobody else is doing it again. However, she did. Lexi remembers an amusing exchange with Sides and Caitlin. It was the funniest thing, Hull said, and that the players were giggling while rolling about on the ground. But that is no longer important. Everyone has to go on, regardless of how Sides makes Clark and the rest of the Fever feel, or vice versa. Although Clark only had a single season under Sides, it was a memorable one. Before earning WNBA Rookie of the Year and guiding Indiana to the postseason for the first time in 8 years, the Fever sensation broke a number of records. With former Connecticut Sun coach Stephanie White being the most frequently mentioned candidate, Clark will now begin her second season in the league with a new head coach. And additional fans will undoubtedly come from that combo. However, one thing is certain: the Caitlin Clark effect is a real phenomenon. The moniker was created to reflect the Indiana Fever star's undeniable financial impact on women's basketball, which started in college and carried over into her most recent season as WNBA Rookie of the Year. Unprecedented interest in women's basketball has been generated by the incredible growth of the #1 overall pick. Last season, as the Steph Curry of women's basketball hammered three-pointers and broke record after record, ticket and jersey sales, home attendance, social media engagement, and TV viewership all exploded. A recent analysis found that Clark was largely responsible for the WNBA's $136 million in sponsor advertising value during the 2024 regular season. Brands profited immensely from the Caitlin Clark Impact Fever games, accounted for 45% of total broadcast value. The Fever were going through a rough time when the news arrived. They just declared their separation from head coach Christy Sides. Sides led the Fever to the playoffs for the first time in 8 years, going 33-47 in her 2 seasons with the team and 2-0-2-0 this year. But the Connecticut Sun eliminated Clark and the Fever from the WNBA playoffs in the first round, and they are now strongly linked to Stephanie White, the Sun's recently fired head coach. The 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year was born and raised in Indiana, played with the Fever, won an NCAA championship at Purdue, and was previously in the hot seat in Indianapolis in 2015 and 2016. After leading the Sun to back-to-back WNBA semifinal appearances during his 5 years at Vanderbilt, the former pro-turned-coach joins Connecticut in 2023. Clark, the face of the Fever franchise, was recently asked about White, who has covered multiple Hawkeyes games and is also an ESPN commentator. Clark told reporters, "I think she has a really great basketball mind, and she's obviously called a lot of my games throughout college. She's done a fantastic job announcing college games, in my opinion. Seeing her at NBA games has been fantastic. To be honest, I think what she has done is she has clearly been a trailblazer." She has, in my opinion, always been very supportive of my game, and it has been enjoyable to chat with her at shoot-arounds during my time in college. The main point, I believe, is that after her calling many of my games, it's enjoyable to face her here for the first time. It will be a lot of fun for us both because I get to play against her now. The most recent addition to the WNBA coaching staff would be White's hire. There are currently 7 teams in the league without coaches. The Sun joined Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, Washington, Los Angeles, and Indiana as the 7th team to switch coaches this offseason after firing White. The regular season for the WNBA may last up to 44 games and start in May 2025. Before that, a brand new professional 3-on-3 basketball league called Unrivaled will include 30 of the W's best players. 6 teams will compete in the 8-week program, which includes playoffs starting in January in Miami and headed by 2024 WNBA finals rivals Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. Clark is reportedly the target of the $100 million TNT Sports-backed league, which has already signed celebrities including Reese, Brittany Griner, and Kelsey Plum. Although Clark has not yet confirmed if she will fill the final open job, league officials are discussing a Lionel Messi-style agreement to lure her on board. What are your thoughts? Is she going to join Unrivaled?